What's up, guys? It's Wolf from the Quarantine, and today we're going to be taking a look at a small game called Venture Capital by Sixpence Games. Now, there's a couple things. I don't have a box because I was sent an early preview copy of the game. It will be coming to Kickstarter, and I'll have a link to it up here in the corner. So if you're interested in what you see here, check them out on their Kickstarter page. It'll contain way more information than I could possibly cover in a video. Now, Venture Capital is a 2 to 6 player blind bidding game where the players take control of basically like Kickstarter backers essentially, and you are funding, or you're blind bidding and trying to fund services and goods and products and stuff like that. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points of what they've backed wins. And that's essentially the game. So let's just go straight over to how the game plays, shall we?
Alright, this is basically Venture Capital setup ready to play. Now, as you see, I do have it set up for 2 players, but the game basically plays exactly the same regardless of the number of players that you're playing with. Now, as usual, I do have to state that this is a review. It is not a tutorial, so if I miss any rules or if I skip over any entirely, this review should still give you a general idea of how the game is played and whether or not it is right for you. The other thing being, this is a early Kickstarter copy of the game, so everything you see here is a prototype and is subject to change. I do have a few printing errors on my cards, which I will point out, which I've discussed with the developer, and he is fully aware of it, and they have already been fixed. So that is something to note as well, that your cards will look much better than mine do. But the way the game is going to be played is each player is going to get 15 cards, and there's going to be 1 all the way through 15. You'll have 1 of each. Now, the printing errors that I have is, as you see here, that's a 4. So mine has been cut off on all the corners, but it also says it in the middle of the card, so it's not really that big of a deal. It wasn't too much of an issue. We just couldn't fan our cards out like this that well. So that was really good. But that's literally all there is to the game. Each player is going to get 1 through 15 in cards. Then you're going to flip over the middle card, and you're going to start bidding. So what you're going to have here, this is actually a terrible example, and so is that, and these. Some cards have numbers up here. This is just how many points they're worth. So in this case, we flipped over Bitcoin miners. So they are a service and an app, which will make a little bit more sense in a moment when I explain how final scoring works. But so that is what we are now bidding on. So you're going to go through here and go, okay, how much do you want it? Because whatever card you choose is gone forever. So I don't want it too much, so I'm just going to put out a 1. So I'll put this face down. This player, I'm just going to randomly shuffle these up, which I recommend doing as well so players can't see where you pulled it and know kind of an idea of what you're bidding. So we're going to do this. Then you're going to go ahead and flip them over. I flipped over a 1. They flipped over a 7. So they wanted a little bit more than me, and they would get this. Here we go here. Now this card is discarded and will stay face up on the table, and you don't get to use it anymore. Now, if let's say I also put a 7, what would happen is, in this case, because it's a 2-player game, nobody would get this. It's removed from the game, but we still lose this 7. However, if we were playing in 3, 4, 5, or 6-player game, say I bid a 7, they bid a 7, this person over here bid a 2, everybody else bid a 1. What's going to happen is the 7s don't get it because more than one person bid the 7. So it would go to the 2 because they're the next highest bidder. And so you have to be very careful when you're bidding of how much you want that. Some of the cards are just straight up better than other ones. But do you drop your 15? Because if you see somebody else wants that card, they're probably dropping their 15 as well. And then now you wasted your 15 and got absolutely nothing for it. So, because there's also 15 of these startup cards as well. So this player would get this. These would stay here. You'd flip over the next one. This is a burrito drone. It is a service, and it is a gadget. And you would do the exact same thing. Okay, I really want the burrito drone, but I don't want to drop my big cards. So we'll do a 9. So you put this here. This player puts that there. You reveal. They did an 8. I got a 9. I wanted a little more. It'd come here. And you're basically going to go ahead and do that until you're going to do the same thing until all of the cards, and let's say those ones were all removed, until you go through all 15 of those cards, and you shouldn't have any money left at the end of the game either. Then that's when the game ends. Once all the 15 cards in the middle are gone, the game is over, and now you add up final scoring. So let's say this was my final scoring. What you're going to do is, first you're going to, this is 3 points, that's 1 point, that's 5. You just get those straight out of the gates. Now you're going to look at each one of the types of card. So we have 1 gadget, 2 gadgets, 3 gadgets. So that's 3 gadgets, and you're going to square it. So it's 3 times 3, so that's worth 9 points. And then we have 2 apps, so 2 times 2, because you square it. 2 times 2 is 4. So we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 12 there, plus these. And then you get these, and that's 2 squared, so on and so forth. And that was your score. And then the other player is going to do the exact same thing. And then whoever has the highest score wins. And that is basically venture capital. It's a very simple, very fast little game. So let's just go straight over to my final thoughts, shall we?
Venture capital. Well, I'm going to start out by saying we did really enjoy this game. We did play it numerous times with multiple different player counts, and we did enjoy it quite a bit. However, there was a big glaring issue that we did have with the game. Now, first time we played it, we had a hoot. We were laughing and joking about things like, for example, some of the cards, this guy's just going to have a wingman service. And this is an invention with productive P. It's basically a catheter. And let's see, like you have a Fight Club app essentially, and Pouncy Paws where the animals stick to the ceilings, and so there's a whole bunch of these that are really silly, and it's really funny when they come out, and like people were bidding on like the Pouncy Paws for they didn't need it, they just wanted it because they're like, oh heck yeah, my animals walk on the ceiling, why not? So it was super fun. Next time we played it, it was more of a game. We weren't laughing about that too much, but we played it. We still had a lot of fun with it. We were still laughing a lot, and calling somebody a jerkbag because they knew that you wanted a card, so they went ahead and outbid you, or they played the same card and you yell at them for it, stuff like that. That was fun. Third game we played, it just became a game of card counting because you knew exactly what was in this deck, you knew exactly what needed to come out, and you just waited and card counted and whole 9 yards, and it lost a lot of what made it fun. I feel that and this may wind up being like a stretch goal, or they may implement this, but to be completely honest, I feel that if they either doubled the amount of total investment cards to like 30, or if they added even like 5 more cards and you shuffle them up and you just use 15, so that way you don't always know what's in this deck, I feel that would make the game exponentially better. Because maybe sometimes you bid on the wrong horse. Maybe first couple cards that came out were services. You're like, okay, I'll start hitting services real hard. But then services never come out again. And you're like, I bet on the wrong horse. Same exact thing happens with another game that I have called Lords of Vegas. Sometimes you bid on the wrong horse and you're kind of annoyed, but it's part of the game and it's fun. And I feel that the game would benefit heavily from something like that. However, that's not to say, like I said, that I don't like the game. We did really enjoy it, and I totally plan on playing it again. It'd be a great party game. Granted, it's only 6 players, but it'd be a great game to bring over to Thanksgiving for my aunt who never plays games. This one is so incredibly simple, it takes 2 minutes to explain. The scoring is a little convoluted, but I just tell them, okay, you want to try to just match the things, and I'll deal with your score later. Which is the other issue that I did have about the game is, for younger players especially, it's a little on the convoluted side. Squaring a number isn't that big of a deal, but again, when you're playing with kids or anything like that, I don't want to do math and homework when I'm playing a game. I want to play a game. So you can take that or leave it. I figured it's something I should probably note. We didn't really have a problem with it, but my wife was burnt out after work and didn't feel like adding things up. My daughter, she's 9. She didn't even know what squaring something meant. So that's something to point out. But other than that, the game is great. I really enjoy it. Hopefully they add more of these cards. That way there's more variety and you can't card count. But that is venture capital. Anyways, I will have the link for it up here. I also have a Patreon also up here. Everything will be in the description as well. If you'd support me on Patreon, any little bit helps. And if you can give this video a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time in the quarantine.